Coming up on sports, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell addresses the media for the first time since September 10th. Tampa Bay all but forgets to show up to Thursday Night Football, and the Yankees attempt to prove that maybe Canada should stick to hockey as they take on Toronto. Sports is next, so stay right here. The NFL has faced a lot of criticism in recent weeks regarding their handling of the Ray Rice scandal, among other issues. Commissioner Roger Goodell addressed the media today for the first time since September 10th.
I got it wrong on a number of levels, from the process that I led to the decision that I reached. But now I will get it right and do whatever is necessary to accomplish that.
Goodell went on to say that he hopes to have new disciplinary policy in place by the Super Bowl. But until then, there's still football to play, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Atlanta Falcons faced off last night on Thursday Night Football. Falcons getting things started really quickly, already up 7-0. That's Matt Ryan finding Julio Jones in the back of the end zone. I got Matt Ryan on my fantasy team. I was pretty happy about this game. He put up 23 points for me. The Falcons, though, would put up even more than that. That's Devin Hester taking the reverse and going around the edge for a 20-yard touchdown, and then finding the ball boy for a hug. Devin Hester, really a happy guy, as he showed later in the game, as he took a punt 62 yards to the house. And not only was that a punt return touchdown for Hester, it was his 20th such return touchdown of his career, which breaks the NFL record that he previously tied with Deion Sanders. And the Falcons would take this one 35-0. There was college football as well, a battle of two top 25 teams as Auburn came into Kansas State. Auburn trailing early, but not for long, as Nick Marshall finds Ricardo Lewis with a nice juke there for the 40-yard touchdown. Auburn up 10-7. That score again wouldn't be like that as Nick Marshall finds Duke Williams in the back of the end zone to go up 17-7 Auburn. But Kansas State wasn't done. The Wildcats in the Wildcat package. That's Charles Jones taking the direct snap in from 1 yard out. Bring the Wildcats within 6 points. At this point, though, Auburn just needed to get 9 yards in the first down in order to seal off the win. They wouldn't get 9, they'd get 39. Nick Marshall finds Williams again for the 39-yard catch and the first down to seal the game. Auburn wins 20-14. Syracuse has its own football game this Saturday against Maryland here at the Carrier Dome. The Orange are looking to go 3-0 for the first time since 1991, and Otto's Army has secured free tickets for all SU students. So head on down to the Dome on Saturday at 12:30 to cheer on the Orange. Derek Jeter began the final homestand of his career last night as the Toronto Blue Jays headed into New York to take on the Yankees. Derek Jeter looking to put on a show for the fans for what could be his last series of games in New York, and he would do just that. Bottom of the 6th inning, Jeter takes R.A. Dickey deep to left field to put the Yankees up 2-0. New York certainly happy about that. Jose Bautista wasn't happy, and he was going to do something about it. An absolute shot in the top of the 8th inning. That would tie up the game 2-2. He knew right off the bat that that one was out. But the game wasn't over. Heading into the bottom of the 9th inning, runner on third base, Chase Headley, seeing eye ground ball into right field, and the Yankees would walk off. Jeter's happy, the fans are happy, and the Yankees are happy after taking this one 3-2. Coming up on sports, we'll brave the icy elements of a hockey rink to bring you Rangers highlights, swim in the freezing waters of the Bay to find out who will join the Royals in the World Series, and then, worst of all, attempt to talk about the Jets. It's all coming up in sports, and it's all next, so stick around. Football got you down? Can't wait to see a team win in the Carrier Dome? Have no fear, basketball season is here. Well, almost. As we discussed earlier, fans can get their first look at the Syracuse men's and women's basketball teams tonight at Orange Madness, 8 o'clock in the Carrier Dome. The annual event will include scrimmages, a dunk contest, and a photo booth. There will be no musical performance this year, and unfortunately, Hilby, the skinny German juggling boy, will not be returning. Breaking news out of the NFL, ESPN is reporting that the Jets have traded for speedy wide receiver Percy Harvin of the Seattle Seahawks, giving up a conditional 2nd through 5th round draft pick in the process. But it didn't come quick enough for this week as the Jets took on the Patriots last night in Foxborough. Picking things up in the 4th quarter, 8 minutes to go. Patriots with a slim 1-point lead looking to extend it. Tom Brady finds the oft-concussed Danny Amendola in the back of the end zone for the touchdown. That would put the Pats up 8, but the Jets would drive down minutes later. Geno Smith throwing for the touchdown. That would bring the Jets within 2. trying to tie things up, the two-point conversion, overthrown, incomplete to the back of the end zone. But the Jets weren't done. One last gasp, 15 seconds to go. Geno Smith finds Chris Ivory down inside the 40-yard line. 2 seconds left, game-winning field goal. It's blocked. The Jets with a chance to win it from 58 yards, but the Patriots would block the kick, and the Jets fall to 1-6. Hockey season is upon us. The Rangers fell 3 wins short of the Stanley Cup last year, instead watching the Los Angeles Kings raise the trophy. After winning their first game to start the season, the Rangers ride a 3-game losing streak into last night's game with Carolina, hoping to turn things around. We'll pick things up in the second period, all tied up at 0-0. That would change pretty quickly. Chris Terry scores from the left wing, giving the Hurricanes the lead. Moving on to the third period, Rick Nash with the steal and a chance to equalize, but he would be denied by goalie Anton Hudobin. And the Rangers would have to wait to find their equalizer, but not too long. Later on in the same period, it's Derek Brassard who ties things up at 1 goal apiece. That's how regulation would end. On to the penalty shootout. Rick Nash redeems himself, finds the back of the net to put the Rangers up, and the Hurricanes would have one last chance to set things even. It's Ryan Murphy, but his shot is stopped by Henrik Lundqvist, and the Rangers take this one in the shootout 2-1. Moving on to baseball, it's an even year, and that means the Giants are threatening for the World Series berth. Don't tell Tony Cruz, though. He puts the Cardinals up 3-2 in the top of the fourth inning with a solo shot, and that's how the score would remain until the eighth, when Michael Moore, stepping in as a pinch hitter, finds the seats with a solo home run of his own. That would tie things up 3-3 heading into the ninth inning. The Cardinals, though, threatening, bases loaded, 2 outs. Nothing but a ground out. Oscar Taveras grounds out to end that half of the inning, sending things into the bottom of the ninth. The Giants, runners on first and second, a chance to go to the World Series, and Travis Ishikawa finds a home run deep inside himself, and the Giants will take on the Kansas City Royals in the Fall Classic. Syracuse football needs a break, owning a 4-game losing streak and fresh off a loss to the number 1 team in the country. Luckily, the Orange face off against a team struggling just as much, Wake Forest. Syracuse travels to Winston-Salem to face off against the Demon Deacons tomorrow at noon, with freshman quarterback A.J. Long getting his first career start. The game will be televised on the Yes Network and ESPN3. Polly want a cracker? No? Polly wants sports. And if you're like Polly, you're in luck. Coming up, the Knicks haunt LeBron's Cleveland return. The Saints overcame the ghost of road games past, and Florida State gets a scare from Louisville. Oh, and spookiest of all, Syracuse football has pretty much a must-win game this weekend. Get ready to scream at sports at its next. There is a new dominant sport emerging on the Hill. It's not basketball or lacrosse, and it's most definitely not football. Earlier today, Syracuse cross country won their 2nd consecutive ACC championship and their 5th conference title in 6 years. This budding dynasty was led by ACC individual champion Martin Hahir, one of 8 SU runners in the top 20. The squad advances to NCAA regionals next week. LeBron James made his much-anticipated return to Cleveland in a Cavaliers uniform last night, and Cavs fans welcomed him with open arms, loud cheers, and hope. The Knicks were slightly less welcoming. LeBron James with his standard chalk toss to start the game, but things would go downhill from there for the Cavs. Carmelo Anthony hitting the 3-point shot, much like he did at SU years ago, to put the Knicks up 1. LeBron would try to respond with his own in the fourth quarter, but he was cold all night, perhaps a little bit of nerves for his return to Cleveland. Kevin Love, also in his first game with the Cavs, no such nerves. He hits a 3 of his own to bring the Cavs back within 5. But then 30 seconds left. The Knicks already up 3, needing a jumper to seal a deal, and Carmelo Anthony delivers just that right in LeBron's face, and the Knicks spoil LeBron's return to Cleveland 95-90. The New Orleans Saints have played like 2 different teams this season. At home, the Saints are undefeated, a well-oiled football game winning machine. On the road, they're just straight up terrible. Winless and more peewee football than professional. Heading into Carolina to take on the Panthers, would this trend continue? If one man had anything to say about that, it would be Drew Brees, quarterback for the Saints, and he would drive them down early on to start things off. But then it was Mark Ingram finishing things off with the touchdown run in the second quarter. Saints up 7-0. Later on, again, working inside the 5-yard line, this time Drew Brees finds Jimmy Graham right as the first half ended, putting the Saints up 2 scores. Drew Brees, tired of seeing other people get all the glory, takes this one in himself from 1 yard out, stretching out to put the Saints up 21-10, and the scoring wouldn't stop there. Again, this time it's Mark Ingram from 3 yards out for his second score of the night, putting the Saints up 28-10. The Saints would go on to win for their first ever this season, road victory. Moving on at this point to the guys who aren't paid to play the game, Florida State takes the 23-game winning streak into a game against Louisville, but the Cardinals would have other things to say about that early on. That touchdown pass put Louisville up 21-0, but Florida State would battle back. Jameis Winston in the fourth quarter finds Ermon Lane for the 47-yard touchdown, putting Florida State up by 4 for their first lead of the night. Louisville wouldn't go away easy, though. Michael Dyer finds the end zone from 3 yards out. Louisville back on top by 3. But there's a reason Florida State has stayed undefeated for so long. They find ways to win. Dalvin Cook goes around the end for 38 yards for the touchdown. Florida State would hold on to win 42-31. It's been a frustrating year for Syracuse football, filled with injuries and embarrassing losses. Still, thanks to ever-growing number of bowls, hope remains that Syracuse football could extend their season. With 4 games remaining, the Orange need to win 3 in order to become bowl eligible, and that starts this Saturday against NC State. The Orange beat the Wolfpack last year in Raleigh, North Carolina. This year's game is at the Carrier Dome tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Filled with sports. Syracuse field hockey brings the cranberry sauce, men's soccer brings the turkey, the Nets argue with the Raiders over who wears black and white better, and Jim Boeheim sits at the head of the table looking grumpy. Pull up your chair, put your napkin on your lap, it's sports, and it's next. 2 years ago, Syracuse took down Cal in the NCAA tournament. Last year, the Orange downed the Bears in the Maui Invitational tournament to tip off the season. Still, Cal stayed in it. This year, a diminished Syracuse squad took on the boys from Berkeley in the 2K Sports Classic at Madison Square Garden. And the third time would be the charm for the Cal Golden Bears. Well, one consistent way to beat the 2-3 zone, hit your 3-point shots, and that's exactly what Cal did all game. That's Jabari Bird hitting one to put Cal up 34-20, and the Orange never really would be back within single digits. Later on in the second half, Jordan Matthews from the corner with the 3, and then later on in the second, Syracuse still down by double digits, and this doesn't help. Jordan Matthews, this time from the other corner, hand in his face. It doesn't matter. He would finish with a team-high 22 points, and the Orange fall to California 73-59. The Syracuse women's field hockey team traveled to Maryland for the semifinals of the NCAA tournament. Waiting for the Orange in College Park were the #1 ranked North Carolina Tar Heels. At the end of regulation, the score was knotted at 2 apiece, but 2 sudden death overtimes weren't enough, and the game went to a stroke-off. That's field hockey lingo for shootout. After a Jess Jecko save, Alyssa Manley scored to send the Orange into a frenzy and send the Tar Heels home for good. Syracuse advances to the championship game on Sunday, where they'll take on the winner of Albany and UConn. Well, the only team left in the NFL without a win was the Oakland Raiders, coming into last night looking to change things against Kansas City. That's Latavius Murray rumbling 90 yards for the score, and that would put the Raiders up 14-0. This is still the Raiders we're talking about, though, and they're pretty bad, so Kansas City would get right back in it. Here's Jamal Charles taking the dump down and going 30 yards for the score to tie things up in the fourth quarter. The Chiefs would then get a field goal to go up 20-17, but the Raiders wouldn't go away. Less than 2 minutes to go, down 3. Derek Carr finds James Jones in the back of the end zone to put the Raiders on top, and then the Chiefs, one last chance, 4th down, 20 seconds left. The pass falls incomplete, and the Raiders get their first win of the season. Syracuse isn't the only basketball team to struggle out of the gate this year. The Brooklyn Nets, now under new head coach Lionel Hollins, are off to a 4-7 start to the season, with only 1 win away from home. The Nets look to improve on that tonight against the OKC Thunder. Usually heading to Oklahoma City would be a scary thought for most teams, but not so this year. Missing superstars Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, the Thunder are the not-so-proud owners of the worst record in the Western Conference at 3-10. The Nets are looking to avoid their first 6-game losing streak since moving to Brooklyn. The game is at 8 o'clock tonight on Yes. If there's one thing Syracuse fans have to be thankful for this fall, it's the men's soccer team. The Orange host Penn State in the second round of the NCAA tournament on Sunday. Junior goalie Alex Bono will be hunting for history as he is one shot away from tying the all-time Syracuse record of 31. Penn State and Syracuse have played 36 times, but only once since 1960, a 4-0 SU victory in 2007. The game is at 2 p.m. at the Syracuse Soccer Stadium on Sunday, and the first 250 SU students in attendance get in free. Well, Syracuse can't make a bowl game this year, but they still have the chance to play out the season. But just because the games are meaningless for the Orange doesn't mean their opponents feel the same way. Saturday, the Orange traveled to Heinz Field to take on the Pitt Panthers, a team still fighting for a bowl berth. Syracuse will look to play spoilers as Pitt needs a win to remain bowl eligible. When asked who would be starting at quarterback, head coach Scott Schaefer said, "If I told you, I'd have to kill you." Seriously, he said that. Well, at least head coach Scott Schaefer still seems like he cares.